You are listening to Offensive Lines with Marlon and Boyd. Small stakes NFL gambling for the average fan.
Welcome to Offensive Lines. I'm Marlon.
I'm Boyd.
And we did a full recap yesterday, so don't think we have much to touch on, except that the pools bet that I missed out on by one game was $2,650. And my pick 5 was a $1,350 pot that I also failed to share in.
Oh, by half a fucking point.
Yeah. So.
Oh, Julio. Down at the schoolyard. Yeah. You and Julio down at the schoolyard.
I sing that whenever he scores.
If you missed that reference, listen to the recap.
All right. That said, I think we know what time it is.
It's motherfucking game time!
That's right. It's motherfucking game time. The Thursday game this week. Miami is +8 going to New England.
This is intriguing.
It's a Thursday night.
I don't know. I'm just saying it's intriguing. I'm not saying I want to bet it, but there's intrigue in this game. More than most Thursday night games, the way Miami's defense is played. And the pass rush.
Yeah, that said, it was against Tennessee and Houston, so I'm reserving judgment.
Yeah, but New England's line isn't appreciably better.
No, though, they did do a good job on the Jets.
Yeah, we'll see. Since the change at head coach, Cameron Wake has 5 sacks in 2 games.
Well, yeah, and he wasn't healthy before, too. So I think it's a combination of a different attitude on the team and finally getting healthy. So I agree with you. It's really intriguing. And, I mean, I heard Cousin Sal saying, oh, New England will run up that score. No, they haven't been, actually. Like, the end of the Indy game, it was run. You know, just the way every other coach does it.
Well, no, if they're up 35-7, they'll run it up. But if it's close, they're not going to do something to screw it, just try and run up the score.
True.
The Belichick coach is the same as every other coach. If a turnover is going to hurt us, we're doing the safe play.
Exactly. And I agree with that play, too. But it's not like you can... These spreads as high as 8 or so make me nervous with New England right now.
No, I want to take Miami. I'm taking Miami. Even though I know that the Patriots, well, they haven't covered all the time. Jets covered 9.5. And the run that the Dolphins are on right now, they don't have Revis anymore. Tannehill threw for 4 touchdowns. I know it's against Houston, but 8 points is a lot the way Miami's played.
Yeah. I see your argument, but I'm taking New England at home.
Okay. You're going to lose another one to me.
Yeah, could happen. All
I
right.
I think Miami might win this one outright.
I'd love to see it, but...
They have their running game. They've committed to a running game. I know Tannehill had 4 touchdown passes, but it was more a function of field position and turnovers than anything. Against Tennessee, they ran it down our throats. They're totally different mindset on offense and strategy. And if the defense is healthy, they got Grimes back. If Ware wasn't healthy, I think Miami might pull an upset here outright. Oh. I'm taking them to cover. I think they might win this game.
That's bold.
Because they had an easy week against Houston. And New England, those games against the Jets are always physical. So, and the New England hasn't had a running game for the last few weeks. Like they threw more than 80% of the time against the Jets. And still only came out with a 7-point win. And it was if the Jets score that touchdown to go up 24-16, it's a totally different game. and Marshall dropped in the end zone.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the Dolphins.
Okay. I'm still going with New England at home. Short week for Miami.
I know, but it's
short
close,
week for both teams. Travel. I tend to go with the home team.
Well, I usually do too, but I don't know. I got a feeling about Miami. I'll probably come back and it'll be 42-7 New England, but
yeah. But well, we weren't going to bet it anyway. But I don't like this number, but I'm still taking New England. I still don't trust Tannehill.
Well, they haven't covered their last 2 spreads over 7. The last 2 weeks they haven't covered.
That is true.
And that was against a horrible Indy team and a somewhat, I would say, above mediocre Jets team with Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback. So,
yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, we have Detroit +5 versus KC with back-to-back London, England games.
Oh, fuck this game.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit? And how is Kansas City favored by 5 over anybody? You beat a third-string quarterback in Pittsburgh. That makes you a favorite by 5?
And I'm thinking and a neutral field. I mean, I think the big thing is KC, their pass rush has reappeared. And Detroit's offensive line is terrible. I mean, Stafford may not survive the season the way he's getting creamed.
Or is it because the Lions blew up their whole offensive side of the football and the coaching staff?
I think they have no running game, and Stafford doesn't have time. Like, everyone's going, well, why isn't he throwing deep to Johnson and Tate? It's like he doesn't have the time to throw deep. Anytime he holds the ball for more than 2 seconds, he's in fear for his life.
Well, they're basically saying this is Kansas City's as good as Minnesota. Because Minnesota was 2.5-point favorites in Detroit, minus...
Yeah, the 3, yeah.
3. They're basically saying Kansas City's as good as Minnesota.
Well, yeah, and I don't agree with that. That said, I'm still taking
Detroit.
KC.
I'm taking Detroit.
Except for the 2 blips on blown coverages, Detroit did nothing.
That's 3... This line's 3 points too high.
Okay.
Like, Detroit hung with Seattle. Not that Seattle's a world beater.
But that's about the only game Detroit's even looked...
Yeah, but Kansas City, this is the first game they look good.
Yeah?
In the same amount of time. And they're 5-point favorites. Terrible.
Well, that's because they've got a bar for KC fans. That must be factored in. Plus, I mean, Detroit, the head coach didn't even know they were about to fire a bunch of his underlings. It's a mess over there.
Well, it is a mess, but it's a mess in Kansas City, too. Your best offensive player's out, and Macklin's coming off concussion, and Smith can't throw deep. What are they exposing in Detroit?
All right. Next up, we have Arizona -5 at Cleveland. This was 4.5 a couple of hours ago, and has already moved to 5. And as you've pointed out, don't trust Arizona out of the desert. They struggled with Baltimore.
And they struggled in Pittsburgh. And
well, they got thrashed in Pittsburgh with a little assistance from Hockley, but...
Yeah, so why would I trust him now? And looking at that game, I saw that call on Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
If that's allowed to carry on, it's not like he spun him off him and he kept going. He held him on his belly for like a 2 Mississippi, and then Johnson got up and ran for 50 yards.
No, I agree that call was a joke. I mean, I said it in our recap show. That ball should have been blown dead, and Harbaugh was completely right, going, if that play is allowed to continue on, what is the defense supposed to do? Because they're going to get fined and flagged if they come into the pile. Because that's another point of emphasis, right? no jumping on the pile.
Yeah.
So, no, Harbaugh had a very, very legitimate gripe there, in my opinion. So,
who are you taking?
This is a son of a bitch for me.
Well, I know you like Cleveland. You took them last week.
I took them 3 weeks in a row, and I got them twice, so...
Yeah, but they're Cleveland.
Yeah. They're Cleveland at home versus an Arizona team that...
Well, they couldn't stop the run. Well, no, Arizona's... I shouldn't say that. I was thinking the other way around. But Chris Johnson, if they can get Chris Johnson to the edge, I've said this all year, Cleveland can't stop the run outside. So if they use Chris Johnson on the outside, Cleveland's going to get demolished. So I'm taking Arizona.
Okay.
Based on Chris Johnson, even though he fucked me last week. And that was that fucking run call. Fuck.
All right. I'm going to take Zona as well. Next up, we have Cincy, -1.5 at Pittsburgh.
Now, how is this 1.5? This is what boggles me. Is it just Pittsburgh betting that keeps this game at 1.5?
Well, Roethlisberger's playing.
It may be. I've read reports it's unlikely he'll play, even though they're saying he's going to play.
Well, and does he show rust? I mean, that's the next question, too. I mean, he did practice pretty much all last week, and I assume this week, too. But he also said he couldn't even sleep on the Thursday night because his knee tightened up.
Yeah. I like Cincinnati in this game if Roethlisberger plays.
Yeah? I'm trying to
At
think,
1.5?
Has Cincy faced anyone with good wideouts? I guess the Chargers.
Yeah.
They should be able to get pressure. No, I don't mind this one. I'm just, even though I've been a Cincy booster all year, something about this reeks to me.
No, it doesn't. If Roethlisberger doesn't play, it's a gift. We have to take that chance.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I mean, I had it starred for myself. So
if worse comes to worse and Roethlisberger plays and we want to revisit, it costs us 50 cents to cash out early.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, that's definitely on the list then, and we're both on the same side here.
Yeah, and we can pick a different game, and we can just tweet it out. That's the nice thing with this, and I'll give them a little press here. Bet365.com. If you're in Canada, it doesn't work in the States, but if bet365.com in Canada, they give you the option of cashing out before the game starts.
Well, and even during the game for a reduced payout if you're on the winning side. So, yeah, no, I do like that. And, we had some login issues today, but you were on hold with the live chat for 3 minutes and then it was fixed?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, they were just
good
having
service.
a login glitch.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like this game. Even if Roethlisberger plays, I love it if he doesn't.
Okay. Yeah, I absolutely love it. So, okay, next up, Minnesota -1 at Chicago.
I love this one, too.
I like this one as well.
Cutler's going to be running for his life. Peterson should be able to run if he doesn't swallow his tobacco juice.
Chicago's defense couldn't stop Detroit. And I know Minnesota's offense is no great hell, but they're light years ahead of Detroit's offense at this stage.
Yeah. Offensive line, defensive line, they're solid.
Mainly the defensive line for Minnesota. That's turning into a really underrated front seven. They get pressure on everybody. So I really like this game. This is probably my favorite.
That was one of my favorites, too. These two, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, were my two before we even talked about anything, were my games I was going to push for. Now, Did you get my tobacco juice reference?
Oh,
with Peterson?
Well, he says that wasn't it.
I highly doubt it. Of course, you're not going to want to look like a puss that you fucking swallowed too much tobacco juice, so you fucking brought up your lunch flying on the plane, so you had to go on the fucking injury report. Because that'll do it. He wasn't on the injury report up until he got off the plane in Detroit. So, unless he caught a 3-hour bug, he swallowed his tobacco juice and puked. Have you ever done that? I've done it.
You chewed. I never chewed. No,
I
never.
did, not as an adult. In high school, I ralphed from swallowing too much fucking juice. And then you learn your lesson.
I've never used oral tobacco, I guess you could say, or whatever they call it now.
Stop it! You're turning me on.
Oh.
Is that what the kids are calling it now?
Are you back in high school now?
Could be. So, yeah. Okay, we're both on Minnesota on that one. That one's probably going to get bet on. But
I think so, too.
We'll determine
liked
that
it
at the end.
I mean, Chicago came back against a demoralized KC team and then, fought Detroit hard. Like, I don't really see what's so special about Chicago.
Just Matt Forte.
Yep.
He's the only thing that could throw a wrinkle into our seemingly thinking we have a solid pick.
Yeah, and, I mean, Alshon Jeffrey's good, but, again, Minnesota more or less shut down Detroit except for blown coverages in the first quarter. Don't spot him 14 points this time, Minnie. Stressed us.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, we have the Giants, +3 at New Orleans. I don't hate the Giants play in this.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yuck.
They're two crappy teams.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
And who knows what Breeze is going to do. Like, they play better. I know they're playing better on the road now than they do at home, for whatever reason, where they used to stink on the road. I don't trust their defense. I know they beat Indy in Indy, but Indy's a horrible team. You've been beating that into my head for 6 weeks, and I keep picking them.
Stop.
I keep picking them because I think eventually that offense is going to score 42, and they're going to win those shootouts, and they're not scoring.
No, they're undisciplined. They take a lot of penalties. I don't like Indy, but that's not who we're talking about.
No, but I don't know how to judge the Saints. They were beat at home by Tampa.
And it's hard to judge the Giants because they look like a competent organization and then they look like a disaster against Philly, my nemesis.
And they had 3 picks from Castle and only one by a touchdown. And they needed a 100-yard kickoff return for a TD to win.
Yeah.
So I don't trust him on offense. Beckham's he's on the injury list every week. They have no running game. Victor Cruz I don't think is ever going to play football again. So I don't like. I think there's better games for underdog.
Okay, well, you'll have to enlighten me because I was straining. I hated this week, by the way, but I hated last week, and turned out all right for us. So that's why we do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Even that said, now that you're talking,
if we can't find anything else,
yeah,
they're
right
as
now
good as
though,
anything.
you've actually swayed me a bit. I'm going New Orleans.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
I don't like taking New Orleans is my AFC or NFC East. They're fucking terrible. I can't pick them to save my life.
Yeah, when I've gotten them right, it's been because I have strong opinions on their opposition.
Yeah.
It's not so much that I know anything or understand anything about New Orleans.
And they did beat Atlanta, did they not?
Yes.
2 weeks ago, so maybe they figured something out. I don't know. They always seem to be overvalued, in my opinion, but
Okay.
I'm still taking them.
Next up, we cannot bet. San Diego +3 at Baltimore. If San Diego's going to register another win, this is our best shot, and I don't think we're going to do it.
This was one. I know we can't bet it, but this was probably my favorite underdog play. Was San Diego?
Yeah,
because they throw the ball. Rivers is on pace to break records for completions and yardage in a season right now.
Yeah.
So, and Baltimore's secondary is depleted, to say the least.
Now, that said, Forsett is running pretty well now, and San Diego can't stop the run. San Diego can't stop anything, particularly if Weddle remains out.
Yeah, but Baltimore has no receivers outside of Steve Smith.
Yeah, well, and Verrett's good, and
he
should be able to do that. But Flowers is a disaster this year. I don't know what happened. And Jimmy Wilson at safety, I might as well be out there. I can give up 30 yards of play, too.
Oh. Yeah, but do you know the playbook?
I'm not sure he does. Like, I have this horrible vision of them just running Forsett right at Jimmy Wilson all day long and them getting 8-9 yards a clip.
Well, if I was the Chargers, I'd put 8 in the box and put those receivers one-on-one and let them beat you.
And I'd like to do a map, too, about watching San Diego travel the country. It would turn into some bizarre pattern. 2 weeks ago, Green Bay, then home to San Diego. They've been to Cincy. Like, they're just traveling all over the place. So...
But I still don't trust the Baltimore. They're basically calling this a pick'em, giving Baltimore the 3.
Yes. And they're both bad teams. Like, this is really bad teams. I'm probably, for the first time this year, I'm going to take the points and go San Diego.
Yeah, I'm going San Diego, too.
That's the first time I've picked my own team this year. And I also think that this might be a good overplay if anyone goes that way. I don't see either of these defenses stopping the other team.
Watch, it'll be 17-13 or something.
Yeah. All right, next up, we have the Niners, +9 at the Rams.
How are the Rams 9-point favorites against anybody?
Oh, I know, but... I mean, if you put any pressure on Kaepernick, he's utterly useless. He had 2 acceptable games with the Giants and Baltimore who can't get pressure. And St. Louis can. I mean, I have no interest in betting this. I will not.
No, I don't want to bet it.
Any fucking circumstances. But I almost feel I have to lay the 9.
I'm feeling the same way. I'm not comfortable going on either one of these teams.
No. Hyde's being bottled up. They can't protect Kaepernick, and he doesn't know what to do when someone's bugging him. There are reports coming out, which I always take with a grain of salt, but that he has completely lost the locker room to whatever extent he ever had it. He was described as he is an island.
So, that's coming from somebody inside the Niners locker room, coaching staff, or front office.
Yes.
So there has to be some truth to it. Because if you don't have confidence in your quarterback, when you have receivers open and you're throwing it 10 yards over their head out of bounds, you're not going to instill a bunch of confidence in your teammates. Oh, man.
I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm taking the Rams, laying 9.
So am I.
And this is from a team that, Fisher thinks 17 is enough to win most games.
Well, the only reason I'm taking the Rams is I think they're going to get pressure on Kaepernick.
And that's what I said at the start. And when he's under pressure, he's been a disaster. And I do think that Gurley will, by fourth quarter start running him over. I don't see the Niners scoring more than 7. I'd be shocked if they did.
Yeah, so that's the only reason I'm taking the Rams. I think Kaepernick will probably turn it over a couple of times and lead to points.
Yeah, maybe even directly, like the Arizona game.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm taking the Rams laying 9.
Neither can I. Just feels wrong. Kind of icky. Anyway, next up, we have Tampa Bay +7 at Atlanta.
Well, Tampa's defense isn't as good as Tennessee's, as shown by the Kirk Cousins.
No, Tennessee has a good defense. When people are saying they're one of the... It's pretty solid. It's a...
Well, against the pass.
Yeah, that's true. 6 yards a carry. And the muscle hamster. By the way, you don't get to get rid of your own nickname, especially when it's a good one.
No.
Just because it bugs you. You will always be the muscle hamster.
Well, and you can't change your stature. If you're small and muscular, you can't become, maybe, what does he want to be called? Big something is the ironic nickname?
I don't know. When you get a nickname that catches fire, that's marketable. I don't care what the nickname is. I mean, Justin Tuck used to be called the Big Midget. I'm sure he wasn't thrilled about it, but hey, a nickname's a nickname. You don't get to choose them.
No.
And
T-Bone.
Yeah, that's right. It's a whole Seinfeld thing going on.
It ends up with Coco the monkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be worse. It could be Coco the monkey.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, that said, they picked Washington with Kirk Cousins, picked them apart. I mean, do you see Tampa Bay leaping to a lead again? No. I don't like laying 7 with Atlanta either, but
no. But if they couldn't stop the Redskins wide receivers and quarterback, how are they stopping Julio Jones?
Yeah,
I'm going Atlanta.
Myself as well. Next up, we can't bet for multiple reasons. Tennessee is off the board at Houston. I assume owing to which quarterback it will be.
Yeah, Mariota. If Mariota's quarterback, and my guess is we'll be favored by a point and a half.
Yeah.
Because Houston's a mess.
Oh, they are.
But Watt could have a field day on our offensive line.
Yeah, but that's it. That's about the only thing you worry about.
Well, if Foster was playing, totally different because we can't stop the run.
Yeah.
So
and if you can't stop Alfred Blue, your run defense is even worse than.
Well, here's how much respect I have for Houston's running backs after Foster. I lost Foster in my fantasy. I didn't pick up Houston's backups. Because Blue wasn't doing anything before. I couldn't believe he wasn't on the waiver wire. Somebody's actually got him. For what, I don't know. Because I wouldn't have picked him up even if he was available.
Yeah, when do you ever envision starting him? Especially with Foster in, he was already on a roster? That's crazy.
Well, no, but it was because Foster was out for the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, but then you dump him when Foster's back, because are you ever going to start him? I mean, I guess you were counting on Foster getting hurt again, but I still wouldn't start him if I had any other options.
No.
That said, I think
I'm taking Tennessee.
myself as well. All right. Next up, we have the New York Jets, -2 at Oakland.
This was my underdog game that I liked.
Yeah?
Yeah. The Raiders got a decent team.
No, I like the Raiders.
Underrated.
I think I even said in our recap show that they're not quite there yet, but they could be going to the top of the AFC West for quite a few years. They're young, they're good. But how good will they be? I mean, Revis will obviously be on Amari Cooper. I don't trust Oakland's running game a whole bunch.
Yeah, but they'll be a little more committed to it than New England. I don't trust Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No, it's cross country. And
they had a big loss.
I don't hate it as like this is in a lot of ways a better, like as an underdog, I don't see much better.
No. I don't know if the Jets are as good as they'd looked with Fitzpatrick. I don't know if the Raiders game against the Chargers is more a function of the Chargers or the Raiders figuring something out in the bye week.
I think it was more a function of the Chargers for the half I watched.
Yeah, but they put up huge points against, I know, Baltimore, then the Chargers. They beat Cleveland in Cleveland. That's their 3 wins. And Murray's run the ball well in those 3 wins. So if they're going to take away Cooper, it could be Murray and possibly the tight end, because they seem to have no answer to cover. Gronkowski was wide open on multiple occasions. And it wasn't just because it was Gronkowski and they threw a ball and they couldn't cover him. He was wide open. So I don't know if the Jets have issues covering a tight end.
Or it was just
the Patriots
Belichick
just ran
voodoo.
Sneaky plays.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but going into a game you have to stop Gronkowski. And he was wide open on multiple plays late in that game.
Yeah.
So
well, it's on
I didn't
the list.
see much.
So, no.
I didn't see much else here. Well, I see one other one here, but you won't like it. So,
Indy?
no.
Anyway, we'll get to
carry
it.
on. So I'm taking Oakland here, regardless of where we go with our bets.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Oakland too. All right, next up we have Seattle -6 at Dallas. I don't want to touch this.
No. Even though I think Seattle will roll them.
I do, but do we have any faith in that, you know?
No, I don't. But I'm just saying, I think just based on Castle against that defense, even though it's not playing like it did a couple of years ago, it's still a pretty good defense.
Yeah, it's Castle. That's why I think Seattle will do it.
And even if Des Bryant plays, I still take in Seattle. Because you have to get him the ball.
Yeah. And, I mean, Dallas's defense isn't playing atrociously, and Seattle's offense is. I mean, that's the one way I see Dallas doing well in this game, is exploiting that Seattle offensive line, which is brutal. I mean, I think Wilson's on pace to get sacked close to 70 times this year.
No, but what did Seattle do not this year and last year? They tried to make Russell Wilson the focal point of the offense in the first 6 weeks of the season. That doesn't work because you have no receivers, or Wilson's not that good a quarterback. He's good in spots when plays break down, but as a quarterback, I don't think he's that good. Then what do? Healthy diet of Marshawn Lynch, just like they did against the fucking Niners. Just run. So they're going to run it down Dallas's throat. Wilson will get his 12 to 15 completions for 200 yards, and they'll win by 10.
Yeah, that's a pretty believable scenario.
This is exactly what they did last year.
Except that they weren't giving up 4 sacks a game to everybody.
But that's part of their passing game, though. They're trying to make Wilson the focal point and not you rely on Lynch so much. But when it comes to nut cutting time and you lose, you've got 3 losses already. Then you just revert back to what's successful. Not try to make something else successful. Use what's worked. They can obviously run block because Lynch ran for 120 against San Francisco. And is Dallas's defense that great?
No, I don't think they're great at all. I think they're
I think Lynch gets his 100.
They're not terrible.
Lynch gets his 100, and Seattle wins. Because Seattle's defense will turn the ball over a couple of times.
Yeah.
If the Giants got 3 interceptions, Seattle's going to get a couple at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Matt Castle, so I'm on Seattle with you there.
Yeah.
Next up, the Sunday Nighter. Match of the undefeateds. Green Bay is -3 at Denver.
This is the other game I liked as the underdog, but I know you won't like it. But no, I knew that. I'm just looking at Green Bay on the road. When you take away, you have Talib, and I can't remember the other corner's name, in Denver, will shut down any wideout threat. Lacey's looked like crap. They haven't been putting points up like you expect them to.
No.
Their defense isn't all world. I think Denver will be able to run the ball on them.
Based on the fact that they haven't been able to run the ball on anyone?
Well, Hillman had 100 yards their last game. In Cleveland.
Yeah, well, maybe if they go with him, but I mean, Peyton Manning's numbers to this point in the year are worse than Tim Tebow's were in the year he started.
I'm not disputing that fact. But Green Bay's offense isn't last year's either.
No,
when you put up 17 in San Francisco. They put up 17 in San Fran.
I think they get back a receiver this week.
It doesn't matter.
I think it does.
Unless it's the clown you lost in fantasy football.
Jordy?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. They're not going to be open like that. And Denver has a good pass rush. Their defense has been what's carrying the team. And Green Bay struggled to put up points against everybody this year.
Yeah.
This should be a pick'em game based on that. I'm taking Denver.
Okay, I'm even putting it into consideration. You make a strong case, but Denver only scores on defense. We'll have to see if that happens.
But look at the games that Green Bay's played at home. Even. They've struggled to score points.
Yeah, against an abysmal Chargers defense.
Yeah, they won by 7. And gave up 500 yards passing. Like, their defense isn't spectacular.
No, giving up 550 to the Chargers is never a good thing on your resume. Though the Chargers with Rivers can get yards, just no points.
But I'm just saying, like, these teams are almost identical to each other. Major flaws, but they're still undefeated. So how it's not a pick 'em, I don't know what they're basing it on. When they put up 17 in fucking San Francisco.
Yeah. No, that's solid. Okay. The Monday Nighter.
Who are you picking?
I took Denver, and I even said I was adding it to the list.
Okay.
I said that.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
I wasn't trying to dodge it. Okay, next up we have Indy +7 at Carolina. I don't mind.
I'm not
Panthers
touching this game.
But okay.
I like the Panthers in this. If you want to bet it, I'm not against it, really.
It's 7's a lot for this Panthers team to lay. They still have issues on offense.
But they should be able to run the ball.
Like I'm pretty strong on Carolina, but I certainly like Minnesota more. And I don't know. I'd probably rather lay the 1.5 with Cincy.
Well, okay, here's an idea. So we're both on Carolina in this game. We don't really need to talk about it a whole lot. I think with the pressure that Luck's been under in the pass rush every game this year, like the stats he put up against New Orleans were garbage stats.
Yes.
300, they were down 20-0.
And 87 yards of that was when the defender just fell down. So it was garbage with, one of those things, which happens, but it's not quite as impressive as throwing it into a tight window. The defender fell down, and there was 20 yards of separation.
And I don't know if Luck's gun shy, but he was just above 50% completion percentage, and not against a dominant defense, which Carolina has.
Yes.
So I don't mind Carolina. What I'm thinking here is if the Cincy game comes up with Roethlisberger quarterbacking and we want to change it, we change to the Carolina game.
Okay. All right. So, that's the week. So let's set some bets.
All right. So I'm guessing Minnesota's our first.
Absolutely.
So we have Minnesota -1 in Chicago. $10 pays $19.09. Booked. Okay, so are we going to go Cincy with the next one? What other games did we have in the mix?
Not much. Carolina and Cincy, and
okay,
potentially Seattle, but I don't trust them.
No, they're a weird team on the road, too. But against that Dallas offense, 6 shouldn't be a big ask. But
yeah, they've got to prove they can score before I believe it.
Well, we'll take Cincy now.
Okay.
And then we can decide between Seattle and Carolina.
Okay. I would much rather, let's just say Carolina. I like Carolina versus a dreadful Indy team.
Yeah, but with Castle quarterbacking, Dallas is dreadful.
They're because you can Indy. Indy stinks, Boyd.
No, but Indy can score
sucks.
garbage points. Indy can score garbage points. That's my worry. When they're down 17 in the fourth quarter, and they get, or 14 in the fourth quarter, and they get a garbage touchdown like they did against New Orleans to make it 27-20.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? Like they've scored.
Yeah, but Carolina's defense is not the New Orleans defense.
No, but they all go into that protective fucking shell. That's how the game got close but with New England. When the teams don't give a shit and they're just trying to burn the clock, they just let them march down the field. And they all do it. Doesn't matter how good the defense is. Every coach falls into that. But,
yeah,
okay.
That
we'll
may
not
be a question.
This might be a big fight off the podcast. But We'll tweet out if we're changing.
Okay, let's book Cincy for now.
Yeah. So we have Cincinnati minus 1.5 in Pittsburgh. $10 bet pays $19.09.
All right.
So now the underdog pick.
It's to Oakland or Denver. And if we're going to bet against a quarterback on the road...
No, I was thinking that I was going right where you're going.
I'd rather bet against Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. Just when everybody thinks he's good, he shits the bed. Because he had a good game against New England. But when you think you've got it figured out with Fitzpatrick, he does. He shits the bed. Who did they lose to in New York? Didn't they lose a game recently?
They lost to Philly.
Yeah.
In like week 2 or 3.
So, no, that was like week 5.
Oh, was it? Okay, but...
Yeah, so just when you think he's got something, he doesn't. For whatever reason. I saw it in Tennessee. So, if Oakland can get somewhat handle on the run, I like them to cover. So, Oakland it is?
Yeah, no, are we going to go money line on that?
Can't.
Oh, okay.
It's off the board.
All
I
right.
would... Well, do we want to wait till tomorrow to bet this one if we're taking the money line? We don't have to bet it tonight.
No, let's...
Because
yeah,
2
we
points,
might as
no,
well.
you're
2
right.
points, like... Yeah,
wait.
I don't see any real advantages to getting +2.
No. If we lose a game 21-20, I'll eat it.
Well, you won't have to because I'm in agreement. So, yeah, let's just say we're betting that on the money line, price to be determined.
And I can tweet that out and just let you know what our price is tomorrow.
Okay.
It's just, we do it so early in the week to get it out there, to get our picks out there. The money line's only up for the Thursday night game right now.
Okay.
So...
yeah, we'll tweet out a price tomorrow, but that will be our underdog bet.
Yes.
All right, to recap, we have Minnesota -1 at Chicago. 10 pays $19.09. We are going to take Oakland on the money line, price to be determined. And currently we have Cincy -1.5 at Pittsburgh. And we may change that bet to one of Seattle or Dallas. If Roethlisberger...
Oh, Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Seattle
sorry.
or Carolina.
Yeah, Seattle or Carolina. Thank you. If Roethlisberger looks good, we may end up just leaving it the same, but we will tweet any changes out on that. But currently we have $10 pays $19.09 on Cincy -1.5.
Okay. Now, question for you. In the recap show, we brought up the notion that we might bet a parlay on our bets. Do you want to do a parlay on the 2 games we've already picked?
Why not? Yeah, because then even if we change the Cincy off, we'll still have a little bit involved. Because we won't, if we move to Carolina or Seattle, we won't kill the parlay off. So let's just put a $5 parlay on that.
Okay. So we have Cincy -1.5 in Pittsburgh, Minnesota -1 in Chicago. $5 bet, and why it doesn't give me what it'll pay until I place it, but the $5 bet will pay $18.22. Not bad.
All right.
I like those picks for a parlay even.
Yeah, I don't mind them. I like Minnesota a lot.
Could have even teased it and bet 10. Probably got the same action.
No, if Cincy can't do it against Pittsburgh, it'll be a disaster. It'll be that Dalton collapse everyone's worried about. And I'm starting him in fantasy, so certainly that'll happen. All right.
I should probably wrap this up. If you want to listen to our podcast, you can check it out on iTunes or Stitcher for your Android device. Listen to it on our website, offensivelines.ca. Follow us on Twitter at Offensive Lines for any updates to our blog posts or when a new podcast is available. Our personal Twitter accounts where we'll put any updates to our bets at O-Lines Marlon or at O-Lines Boyd. Facebook.com/Offensive Lines. And if you want to send us an email, it's offensivelines@shaw.ca. I'm Boyd.
I'm Marlon, and that was the Pick Show for Week 8.
Degenerate fucking gambler.